Sorry for the hiatus. Didn't mean for it to be that long, but let's get into it. Landing by Lovelyish. Chapter 3. Testing the Limits. Summary. It's Danny's first day at UA. Class 1A are curious to see exactly who he is. Danny. That was Sam's voice. There was no mistaking it. He could pick it out of 1,000 other voices. She sounded tentative, a quality he wasn't used to in her voice. A moment later, there was Tucker's joining hers.
Dude, come on, talk to us.
Next was Jazz. Little brother, I'm so sorry. Please open up. Tell us where you are. Danny didn't know where he was. Floating ethereally in pure darkness, he tried to move, but found himself incapable. After a few moments of trying, he finally responded.
Where am I?
Danny's voice was hoarse, most likely coming from training with Nezu and overusing his ghostly wail. Danny! The exclamation came from the other 3 teens.
What's going on?
Danny croaked again, trying hard to focus but finding it difficult to given his current state. Nocturne got us into your dreams. Where are you? How can we get to you and bring you home?
Not safe. Not safe to come back, Danny murmured.
No, Danny, Jazz trailed off, and he could hear the tears in her voice. The guys in white were shut down after an investigative journalist wrote a hit piece on them. Sam rambled hastily, as though the time was limited. It probably was. You can come back. You can come home.
Danny let out a single sob, the reality of what they were asking of him, hitting him like a truck. I'm making a home here. Mom and Dad, they wouldn't want me around. It's easier this way. Don't say that. Please, we need you, Tucker interjected. I need my best bud.
I love you, Jess sniffled as she spoke. We all do.
Vlad's gone, Sam explained. The GIW are gone. What is keeping you away? How was Danny supposed to explain the constant fear he had lived in between his parents and the responsibilities of protecting the world? It had been too much.
Aizawa had helped him realize as much. Aizawa had helped Danny more than he thought had been possible. He wasn't ready to give that up yet. Maybe he'd never be ready.
I'm safe. Danny chose his words carefully. I'm training to become a hero here. Trust me, I miss you guys more than you could know. I'd love it if you could come here, but I'm not coming back. Not anytime soon, anyway.
But Danny, Sam started, trailing off before picking back up again. Please, we never got to.
I know. Danny choked on his words. I know. I wish things were different. I really, really do. There was an indistinct warbling sound in the background, low and reedy. Danny could only assume it was Nocturne.
We have to go, Jazz concluded. But I'm not giving up on you. None of us are. No matter what it takes, we are going to make a world that's safe for you. I promise.
And then Danny was sitting straight up in bed, gasping for air. Aizawa ran in a few moments later, rushing to Danny's bed with concern dripping from his aura. Danny, what's the matter?
I miss them, Danny gasped, hugging his chest both protectively and self-soothingly. Aizawa's energy softened at that. He sat gently at the edge of Danny's bed, careful not to encroach on his personal space.
Your friends? Your sister?
Danny nodded, bottom lip trembling as tears started to spill. They reached out to me.
Wait, what?
They got a dream ghost to help communicate with me, Danny explained, taking sporadic, stuttering breaths. They want me to come home.
You can do that.
Aizawa nodded lightly, prodded lightly.
Danny offered a single nod in response. I don't want you to go back. The way you have before, it's not sustainable. UA will be good for you.
The hero softly smiled.
I'm trying to be good for you. I know I'm not perfect, but...
Danny launched himself forward, hugging Aizawa tightly and crying into his sleep shirt.
I know, he sobbed. I told told them I can't go back because I feel safe here thanks to you. Once Danny calmed down himself and Aizawa got ready for the day. It was earlier than either of them had really wanted to wake up, but too late to go back to bed. Besides, maybe it'd be a good thing, getting a head start on Danny's first day at UA. They lived walking distance from the school, so once they were ready, the two boys made their way to the institution. So, I'm going to be in your class? Danny asked, walking on light feet. He felt good, excited, ready. Yes, you are, Aizawa revealed. I need to keep an eye on you, given your unique circumstances, but I don't think that means I'll take it easy on you. Yeah, okay, Danny snorted. Bring it on, Aizawa. When they arrived, Danny broke away from Aizawa to visit Nezu's office, as the principal had requested. Nezu looked up at Danny the moment he entered, a wide smile adorning his white, furry features. Danny, come sit. Danny took a seat across from him, sinking into a plush chair and offering a small smile. Since they'd first met, he'd gotten more comfortable around the Chimera. Sure, his aura was still a little off at times, but at least Danny was able to read him much better each day. Hey, Nezu. It's your first day at UA, Nezu pointed out. How are you feeling? Actually, Danny shifted in his seat, chuckling lightly. I'm excited. Don't get me wrong, I miss home like hell, but school was never really my thing there, but hero school, that sounds like something I could get used to. Well, we're happy to have you aboard. Nezu's sincerity shone through his voice. Well, go ahead and get to class. I want to check in with you this morning. Thank you. I'll see you later for training. Danny waved goodbye to the principal before exiting his office. Danny walked idly down the hall, remembering the map Aizawa had shown him. He was looking for Class 1A. He knew fairly well where to find it, and as he rounded the corner, he came upon the door. Just as he was about to broke each and walk it, another teen about his age came bounding around the corner, obviously very frazzled and out of sorts. Whoa there. Danny held his hands out in front of him, effectively stopping the green-haired boy. Cool it. It's not a race. Greenie came to a rather awkward halt. So sorry. Oh, I almost ran you over. Danny shrugged, smirking at the boy. You're fine. I don't think you would have done much damage anyway. You in Class 1A? I am. The Greenie held out a hand to shake. My name is Izuki Midoriya. Danny Fenton. Danny shook Midoriya's hand once, letting it go for another moment. Nice to meet you. Is that American? Midoriya asked, curiosity sparking in his eyes. Yeah, so you can call me Danny, he explained. A loud voice barked orders from the other side of the door, something about feet on tables. Danny and Midoriya both turned towards the ruckus, eyeing the larger-than-life door skeptically. Should we go in there? Danny asked, eyeing Midoriya once more. I guess, before we're late, Midoriya answered. I'd hate to make the professor mad. That had Danny smiling coyly. Yeah, I'd hate to do that too. Together, they walked into the classroom, the sound of bickering growing louder yet. As soon as the squeaking door sounded, a tall, glasses-wearing boy gaped in their direction. It's him, Glasses gasped. It's him, Glasses gasped. In an instant, all eyes were on Danny and Midoriya. Scratch that, the attention was clearly directed at Midoriya alone, and Danny could feel it. He looked over at his new friend, realization striking him. This wasn't just some student, this was the student, the one who'd taken out that massive robot, the one Danny almost let die. Out of instinct alone, Danny took a quick step back, letting Midoriya take the brunt of the attention. Hi! Midoriya squeaked. Good morning. Glasses began trudging towards Midoriya. My name is Tenya Ida. I know. Midoriya placated, holding both hands. Midoriya, it's super nice to meet you. Danny slinked by, hoping to go unnoticed as this Ida guy rambled up Midoriya's superiority to himself in the entrance exams or something like that. Midoriya stammered out an awkward response as Danny took a seat. Slinging his backpack over the back of the chair, he began unpacking his bag, keeping to himself in hopes of flying under the radar. Eventually, the commotion at the door drew familiar attention, and Danny was smirking knowingly before the professor even spoke. If you're here to just make friends, you can pack up your stuff now. It's always hardly their voice got everyone's attention. Danny craned his neck to see where he was speaking from. He almost choked in his own laughter when he realized the underground hero was wrapped in his favorite yellow sleeping bag laying just outside the classroom. No wonder. They had both been up for hours and had gotten barely any sleep the night before. The image was still kind of funny, though. Welcome to UA's hero course. Aizawa continued, unzipping the sleeping bag as he did. It took 8 seconds for you to shut up. That's not going to work. Time is precious. Rational students would understand that. And then he swore as Aizawa's eyes flicked to his own before going back to Midoriya and the floating girl. Hello, I'm Shoto Aizawa, your teacher. There was an audible gasp that flew through the classroom, and again, Danny was stifling a chuckle. These students were clearly intimidated. The energy in the room was almost overwhelming in the fact. And I could just shake his head, bring his pencil down to his paper, and idly doodling little cartoon ghosts in his margins. Alright, let's get to it. Put these on and head outside. Aizawa instructed, much to the shock of the class, sans Danny, of course. Danny changed into the gym uniform of one of the bathroom stalls instead of with the other boys in the communal locker room. He wouldn't expose his fresh incision scars, especially not on the first day of class. By the time he was finished, one of the last to line up, Aizawa shortly thereafter explained that they would be doing a quick assessment test, much to the confusion of Danny's peers. Aizawa bantered with some of the students who were concerned about one thing or another, but Danny couldn't really be bothered to pay close attention. Instead, he was looking around nervously, anxiously, to see how the other students react to Danny's quirk. Aizawa had explained that people had one quirk or none. When Danny had proceeded to ask if there had ever been anything different, Aizawa had clammed up and stopped talking, and yet, as he urged Danny not to hold back in the slightest. Danny was shaken from his thoughts, where one of the students, Bakugo, he thought he had heard, was chosen by Aizawa to come in front of the class. He had readied himself to throw a softball, throwing a few words in Aizawa's direction when the teacher urged Bakugo forward. When he threw the ball, he imbued an explosion into the action. The small object was launched far higher into the air. Surprise and awe radiated from around Danny, though he couldn't find it in himself to share the admiration. Something about this Bakugo character felt very, very off to him. He decided to keep his eye on this one. When the ball landed and Aizawa revealed the score, chatter cascaded around the crowd of students. From someone behind Danny mentioned how fun this looked, and he instantly knew Aizawa would have something to say about that. So this looks fun, huh? Aizawa's tone was low and wrought with judgment. Something Danny wasn't used to hearing from him. You have 3 years here to become a hero. You think it's all going to be games and playtime? He lowered his head, a devilish smile on his face. Idiots. Today you'll complete 8 physical tests to gauge your potential. Whoever comes in last has none and will be expelled immediately. Fear. It was all that surrounded Danny, pulsing and demanding to be felt. And Aizawa had told him he would be very different around the class than he was just around Danny. But it still shocked to see how different he really could be. Like I said, I get to decide how this class runs. Aizawa continued. Understand? If that's a problem, you can go ahead and go home right now. There were more complaints, which Aizawa addressed, though, again, Danny wasn't really focusing much on the details. How was he supposed to live with himself if he knew he was depriving another student of the spot at a coveted school? Danny had, after all, swooped in with unfair advantages. Then again, looking back to the entrance exam, many of the selected students sported unfair advantages. Maybe that was just the name of the game. Still didn't sit well with Danny. No then, we're just wasting our time talking. Let the games begin. Aizawa declared. First, it was the 50-meter dash, which was just fine for most of the students. When his turn was up, Danny readied himself against his classmate, a boy with half red and half white hair. He had an unfortunate scar covering one of his eyes, and Danny couldn't help but paying his sadness that hit him. He had his own scars, after all, and he didn't know what he'd do if he had to wear them so openly on his face. When the dash began, Danny flew, yes, literally flew, towards the finish. Feeling himself speed up by the millisecond, the boy to his right created some sort of ice structure in front of him and behind him, using the cool material to push him forward at decent speed. So he had ice powers. Danny had tucked this bit of information away for later.
Maybe they could relate over their shared icy ways. Next was the crypt tester. Danny scored just above average, though he wasn't really discouraged in the slightest. Strength, while enhanced due to his staff of nature, wasn't really one of the abilities he truly prided himself in. The long jump that took place after was easily enough. Danny simply launched himself into the air and didn't let himself fall. That sent him a quiet smile after that. There's another speed test, which Danny excelled at, then the ball throwing test. Thus far, his classmates were only aware of his ability to fly, but he had plans to show him otherwise when he threw the softball. He readied himself, taking a deep breath and smiling to himself. When he threw the ball, he released an ectoblast from his hand, sending the ball flying farther than should have really been possible. As soon as he turned around, Danny was met with shocked faces, confusion wafting off them. He shrugged it off. Nezu had told him not to hold back, and he wasn't really going to. Then he passed Midoriya, who was up next. He seemed so preoccupied that he didn't really look at Danny when they crossed paths. He looked down at the ball, contemplation obvious in the tense lines of his shoulders and back. If Midoriya doesn't shave up soon, he's going home, Ida said directly from front of Danny. What? Of course he is. He's a quirkless loser. Ida turned to the hothead blonde, clearly upset. Danny beat him to it. The Alpha grabbed the back of Bakugo's collar, securing his own arm between his shoulder blades and effectively pinning it there. Bakugo struggled, but Danny wasn't finished. Not yet. You don't talk to people that way. Got it, hothead? Danny whispered in his ear. He could feel Aizawa prickle from behind him, but his obsession wouldn't let him care. Midoriya had been friendlier to him than anyone else in this class. He wasn't about to let some asshole make him feel like a loser. With a huff, Danny let Bakugo go, and later stumbled forward and catching himself. He turned over his shoulder, eyes narrowing red as he scoffed. Look who's talking, all for one prodigy. Something about that insult reminded Danny of a villain he'd just stopped who had that name. All for one. A villain renowned for being the worst of the worst. Danny shrugged, his mind flying to Dan and his evil, almost future self. Without meaning to, he stumbled back, hand flying to his core, which was tight and uncomfortable in his chest. As he pressed it to his chest, his scars grew taut. He hissed in pain. Danny, go take a walk. Aizawa's voice was behind Danny. I'm fine. Go. Aizawa yelled. Danny turned and stared at him in confusion. There wasn't something in Aizawa's energy screaming at him to trust them. He was trying to help him save face. Danny suddenly felt grateful and took the opportunity to turn and fly away from his classmates. Danny stopped at the edge of the field. No, he flew directly into Nezu's office, intangibly floating through the walls and appearing in front of the principal. Danny! Nezu exclaimed, clearly startled. Shouldn't you be with your class? Who's all for one? Danny seethed, floating a few inches above the ground and circling an oblong oval. And why won't Aizawa tell me about him? Nezu's eyes went downcast as he pondered his next words carefully. Sit, won't you? I think I'll stay floating. Thank you very much, Danny retorted. Now stop changing this subject. Why would some idiot call me an all-for-one prodigy? That is... Nezu looked at Danny. A complicated question. You see, all-for-one was a villain. A terrible villain who rivaled the current #1 hero. All Might. His quirk was he could steal other quirks as his own. Then he stopped in his place. So he had multiple quirks. Correct. Like it appears I do. Danny, why didn't you tell me? Then he yelled, fists clenching and shaking at his sides. No, I've got a target on my back because you wanted me to show off like a trophy or something. What the actual fuck? Look, Nezu reasoned, his tone remaining steady in spite of Danny's outburst. I never told you to go all in because I wanted to make a spectacle out of you. I simply wanted you to push your classmates to be better. Your morality, your abilities will be set as a good example. Beyond that, maybe if your peers can see that a seemingly villainous set of abilities are tied to such a heroic individual, their perceptions could be changed. Danny shut up after that, not entirely sure on how to respond to that. After a few silent moments, he moved to take a seat, sinking back into the soft material. He wanted to be sucked up by the chair entirely, as it might have spared him some embarrassment. Oh, Danny relented. Yes, Nezu nodded. Now, I think you should be getting back to your class. I believe your assignment must continue, with or without you. When Danny returned to the assessment, there was palpable tension. He must have missed something at the ball throw while contemplating the rest of the physical tests, all of which Danny scored above average at due to his ghostly nature. He realized something was amiss. Midoriya, the bubbly, anxious, rambling friend of his, was in pain, cradling his right index finger to his chest whenever possible. It only took one glance for Danny to realize why. His bones in that finger were shattered. What happened? Danny questioned as he walked quickly over to Midoriya after the end of the last test. Danny, hi, hi. Did that asshole Bakugo do that to you? Danny growled, his eyes flashing green against his will. Midoriya startled back before shaking his head. No, it was my quirk. I don't really have control of it yet, and it breaks my nose, my bones. Danny relaxed, though not completely. He looked down at the purple finger, letting out a sigh. Here, he created a small slab of his active ice. It won't help. Put it on your finger while we wait for the results. Midoriya looked like he was about of an aneurysm as he opened his mouth, no doubt to ask a million questions in quick succession. As I made a net announcement. Alright, time to give you your results. I've ranked you from best to worst. You should probably have a good idea of your standing already. I'll just pull up a list. It's not worth going over your individual scores. Next to Danny, Midoriya was so tense, he looked like he was about to cry. The screen flashed on, displaying his scores. Danny found himself in first place, which he wasn't really overly shocked about. What he was surprised by, however, was that Midoriya was in last place. Danny hadn't been paying attention to him throughout the entire assessment, but surely he hadn't been that bad, hadn't he? And Danny turned his eyes to Midoriya, who wore the most pitiful expression he'd seen in a long while. And I was lying. No one's going home. Aizawa broke the attention. Both Midoriya and Danny's attention snapped to the teacher. He smiled wide as if he'd made a joke with himself. That was a rational deception to make sure you'd all try your best in these tests. Someone was talking about how she knew it all along, but Danny was still focused on Aizawa. He wasn't sure to make sure of his teacher persona. He didn't know if he liked it. At least he wouldn't treat Danny like that at home. Right? That's it. We're done for the day. Aizawa started walking back to the UA's main building. Picked up the syllabus in class and read over before tomorrow morning. He stepped next to Midoriya. He handed the team a slip of paper. Take this and go to the old lady to fix you up. It's going to be tougher tomorrow when your actual training begins. Make sure you're prepared. And Midoriya started going to the building as well. Danny caught him by the shoulder. He turned over and said shoulder, and then he cleared his throat. Want some company? I have to stay a while after class anyway. Sure. Midoriya beamed. Together they walked towards Midoriya to a recovery girl's office. Midoriya explaining who she was and what her quirk did. He stayed suspiciously quiet about Danny's abilities, a fact that wasn't really lost on the Hatha. Wait, so she literally kisses a boo-boo butter. She literally kisses a boo-boo to make it better. Danny smirked, earning a quick chuckle from Midoriya. I guess you could say that. The two teens ran at the corner to Recovery Girl's office. The moment she saw them, she froze. Her eyes were glued to Danny. Did he know her? Did she recognize them, even in his uniform, the newscast? Why, hello. It's been a while, young man. I guess since the entrance exams. I'm sorry I'm back so soon, Midoriya muttered apologetically. No, not you, young man. Her stare bore into Danny, and he looked around, hoping she was referring to someone else. Yes, you. I'm surprised to see you here, but welcome nonetheless. The cover girl looked at Midoriya now. The corners of her lips turning downwards just a touch. Now what do we have here? Midoriya was done. He parted his ways with Danny. The latter made his way to the exit as Aizawa had instructed him. Hey kid, are you okay? Why does Recovery Girl know me? Danny asked, not making eye contact with Aizawa. You went with Midoriya. He stated with a long sigh. You didn't answer my question. There was a long pause, which Danny looked at Aizawa then, who was not looking away. The first night I met you, I took you to her. I was afraid you might die. I'd never seen a wound like that. Danny nodded, humming lowly. Well, that's great. Who did she tell? What? Aizawa's gaze snapped to his. Is everyone gonna find out about what happened to me?
Danny grumbled. Look, I'll talk to her, but I truly trust the recover girl. She won't tell anyone. She's discreet on many topics. Okay. Danny took a deep breath. Then another. Yeah, okay. Let's get going home. Aizawa decided. We'll need to get something in you before your training with Netsu starts. That night, Danny's dreams were quiet. He didn't want to feel so disappointed by that fact. Holy crap, that's the end of that amazing chapter. I think I messed up so many times. Like, just small mess-ups, or, like, accidentally, like, misreading something. But, like, the start of it, having to come up with a voice for Sam, Jazz, and Tucker, that wasn't, like, I'm not good at creating different new voices. So, like, creating voices for 1A and then memorizing them is going to be a nightmare. With that said, if you like this video, go check out the original creator, Lovelyish, on AO3. This is an amazing fic. I absolutely adore it. It's the funniest fic I think I've ever really read when you take it all into account. I love how she, like, I'm assuming Lovelyish is a girl. I love how they, more accurate, do the, like, descriptions and stuff. They are an amazing writer. It's awesome. I love the sad and the, like, fluff mixed together. It's just really funny to me. The drastic changes from sad to happy that can happen between chapters in this. And I'm so excited to, read it all out for you all and hear your opinions about it in the comment sections. So, I want to know what you all think about this chapter, and if you have any criticisms about me and my ability to read. Have a great day, drink water, go to bed, walk your dog, swim with your fish, and be happy. Goodbye.